This is Wrestling Informant Radio, WrestlingInformant.com. How's it going, everybody? Gary and Chris here with another show, our first Wednesday show, so we hope you guys like the new date and time. And joining us today, we've got a very special guest on the line. He is from WrestlingObserver.com, F4WOnline.com, a co-author of The Death of WCW. We have Bryan Alvarez joining us on the show. Bryan, good evening to you.
What's going on?
Well, just doing a show here. Hope all is well with you. The first question I want to ask before we get really going deep in the interview, I want to know, have you sent a copy of this book to Dixie yet?
I haven't sent one to Dixie yet. She's going to have to pay for it. I know she's got the money.
I don't know. Maybe she might be low on cash. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, there's a hiring freeze, but I haven't heard anybody say anything about no buying anything off Amazon freeze. So
that is true. And you can get the book on Amazon, or would you rather people go just to WrestlingObserver.com and get it? What's your preference?
Well, I mean, we're not selling it through the website, but I mean, if you would like to, you can go to WrestlingObserver.com, and on the front page there is a picture of the book, and if you click through there, right, I do get a little bit of the revenue from the sale, but I don't care at this point how people get the book. It's a hardcover, softcover, Kindle, all at Amazon.com, and on the 14th we'll be out in bookstores. However you get it is cool with me.
Very good. Now, there's actually some confusion. We were looking up on Amazon, and I know you've been tweeting pictures of people getting their books, but Amazon, for some reason, has it listed for the 14th of October. Do you know what that's about?
Well, that is the official release date, and I think that's probably when it's going to be in bookstores.
Ah, okay.
But I guess ECW just shipped out all the copies, and once Amazon got them, I mean, I don't think they care what the official release date is. They just started shipping them to everybody. So tons of people are already getting them, and I think if you order it like today, it'll ship it, and you may even be able to get it by Friday, probably Saturday or Monday. But actually, you know what? Amazon does Sunday delivery, so you can get it quick if you order.
Wow.
Hey, Bryan, it's Chris. I'll tell you right now that I went to Amazon and ordered it. It was delivered through my Kindle app this morning, and it was $9.99.
Hey, $9.99.
Hey, how about I should be plugging that even harder?
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. $9.99. That's a good price.
Yeah.
I think today it just started getting to people's Kindles, because I've got a couple of people that ordered Kindle that haven't gotten it yet that I know of. Like Lance Storm actually was just on our show, and he ordered a Kindle version. It's not there yet, but I do know that from checking out my associate account that a lot of Kindles, people are getting them on their Kindle as of today, so should be being delivered everywhere soon.
Right. Well, first of all, congratulations on the new copy of the book, and just for people that aren't up to speed on it, what's new in the book currently?
Well, we got 40% new material. It's a near 500-page book now. Mm-hmm. There is, I added so much. Basically, what we did was first off, we took everything that had been cut out of the original book, and we put it back in.
Right.
Then we went through and we revised everything. I mean, there were a few things that needed to be changed. We added a ton of quotes from people who were there, which we didn't have in the first edition. Mm-hmm. So you get a lot more first-person accounts of what was going on there, a lot of confirmation of a lot of the stories from different people. And we vastly, I added so much material to the first chapter about pre-1995 that I almost had to split it into another chapter. Mm-hmm. And then I added so much stuff to the year 2000, which is the worst year in the history of professional wrestling anywhere in the entire universe.
Yes, it was.
So
that is true.
If you want to see how bad it can be, I mean, you can complain all you want about Impact or 3-hour Raws or whatever.
Yeah.
If you want to see how bad it could be, go back and read that chapter, and it'll be eye-opening. I read my own book, and I couldn't even believe it when I was revising that chapter.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I all the stuff about Cowboy Bill Watts and how he almost ruined the promotion, that was mind-boggling, because you said you put all that stuff for 95, because I'm about halfway through the book now. And just all this, just even the sections on Cowboy Bill Watts and just all of his crazy demands and rules and things like that was just mind-blowing.
It's actually kind of funny to watch Nitro. I'm starting to watch some of the early Nitro shows on the network.
Right.
And it's funny because, like, it's a new era, but they're still reminding us of things from the old era. Like they're talking about Commissioner Bockwinkel and stuff like this, and it's like all of this stuff that they had in the pre-Nitro era that it's just so wacky to hear about it on Monday Nitro, and some of the old rules that are slowly going to be phased out. It's pretty fun to watch those early Nitros, because the early Nitros, I mean, those were good, fun, revolutionary television shows. It got horrible later, but like at the beginning, it was good. And so it's fun to go back on the network and watch some of that stuff. It's better now, I think, in some ways than it was at the time.
Well, as you're going back and watching a lot of these, are you picking up new things as you go along that maybe you didn't notice, or just kind of with the benefit of hindsight, things that you're picking out as you're watching it?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I haven't watched it in so long that I don't remember enough of it to pick out new things.
Right.
But it is kind of funny because, like, with so many, I hate to single out the women, but when you think about like Charmel and Jenna Maraska and TNA and Rosa Mendez, I mean, some of these women are just so absolutely horrible in the ring. And so we've seen so many horrible matches in the last few years. Yeah. But I can go back and watch a match like Luger and Savage, which Dave Meltzer said was a 1-star match at the time, and I probably thought the same thing.
Right.
And man, you look back at that match now, and that's not a bad match at all. It's a pretty decent little match.
Yeah.
So in some ways, some standards have changed. I mean, like, an average Usos tag team match is way better than what you see on most Nitros. But, like, the bad stuff today is much worse than the bad stuff that you could watch back then.
Wow. I want to talk a little bit about kind of the process of writing a book. I mean, it's
not fun. It's hard.
well, and that's the thing. I mean, you're a busy guy. You run a website. You're doing radio shows and all kinds of stuff. I mean, kind of put us through like how much of an impact that had on your schedule and what your schedule becomes like when you're trying to write a book.
I am so proud of the book, and I'm so happy that I wrote the book, and it's very fulfilling. I've wanted to write a book since I was a little kid, but it is so hard. You read it over and over and over, and you revise and you add and you take out and you read it, and like by the end, you don't even know if it's a good book or not. You don't even know what it is. It's just like a bunch of words, and eventually you're just like, okay, fine, the deadline. I have no more days, and it's gone. And the next thing you know, people are reading it, and sometimes you go back years later and you're like, what did I write that for? Or, that's wacky. Yeah. But, like, I'd read it so many times, I don't even remember. It's a very, I mean, when I wrote it the first time, I mean, when it was done, I was never writing another book ever again. Ever. Not even, there was no maybe, there was no, perhaps. There was, I will never write another book again, ever. And it was 10 years before I finally was like, okay, I don't have to write a new book. I just have to revise it and add to it. And they promised me a hardcover, so fine, I'll do it. But I'm never going to do another one.
Never.
And it was kind of scary because, well, as soon as we turned in like the final manuscript, a few months later, you'll never guess what happened. But Spike TV canceled Impact.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, all I had to hear was, oh, my God, you've got to write this book. I was like, no, I can't do another book right now. I was like praying that they got a television deal. I'm still praying that they get some kind of television deal. Not just for selfish purposes, but it's not good for wrestling when you've only got one major national promotion. I have friends in TNA. I don't want to see anybody unemployed. So I hope that they get a television deal. But there's also the selfish part of me. I don't want to write this book right now. I do not want to write Death of TNA right now, but I know it's pretty much inevitable that I'm going to have to do it. So I'm just hoping that it will be as long as possible before I do.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, but doing a newsletter, did that make it any easier in terms of, being able to write, kind of long form and stuff like that? Was it any easier, the fact that you had a background of writing already?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the process of writing is easy. It's just there's so much more to it than writing. You've got to go back. You've got to read so much stuff. You've got to talk to people. You've got to figure out a good way to tell the story. Yeah. It was so much easier this time, though, because it's 2014. And all we had to do was create a Google Doc that Artie and I shared that we could both edit from wherever we were at.
Yeah.
I mean, it made it so much easier to just both write the book together. You didn't have to like send stuff back and forth and email stuff. And, you know, did you get that email? I don't know. I think I did, but it didn't get added in, blah, blah, blah. You know, there was a lot of that the first time. This time was easy. It's so easy to write a book with somebody nowadays because of various forms of technology. But it was still hard.
Well, I'll break the fourth wall right now with you, Bryan. I mean, Chris is in St. Louis, I'm in Washington, D.C., and we are using Google Docs right now to have our notes to talk to you this evening. So there you go.
There you go.
It works
it's
great.
Amazing what can be done.
Yeah,
I got an ISDN style line for Dave, and he's in San Jose. I'm in Seattle, and we do the show, and it's great.
He sounds so much better now. I don't know what all you did with it, but I got to tell you, I mean, you know, and listening to him on the phone sounds fine. I mean, I'm kind of a radiophile and stuff like that, but hearing how he sounds now, it's just miles ahead of the way he used to sound on there.
Yeah, I'd like to get him a better mic. He's just got a headset mic now.
Yeah.
But Dave gets very animated, and you put a mic in front of him, he could be in another room by the time he's done with the rant. So the headset works best for right now.
Do you have a pop filter for that guy?
There's supposed to be one, but I don't know if it's on there right now.
Okay,
yes,
very good.
From what I remember, Dave's very anti-technology, right?
I don't know if he's anti-technology, but he's so busy working on the Observer that you know he doesn't care about that stuff. As long as you can hear his voice, that's all he cares about.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're kind of more of a radio guy though, because I've heard you did an interview with the IAIB Spotlight and kind of talked a little shop, you know, inside baseball about radio, and I found that to be pretty fascinating. If I can go off on a side tangent there, I thought that was a pretty good interview.
Oh yeah,
hearing about all your equipment and all that stuff, I'm very fascinated by that stuff. So
yeah, I mean the things I wanted to do since I was a little kid were, I mean, the first thing I wanted to do was write a book. You know, I was 5 years old, and I wrote this book about the universe, and I sent it to a publisher, and I got my first rejection notice.
Right.
Like, I always wanted to write a book, and then I got into wrestling, and I wanted to be a wrestler,
right.
And I wanted to be a wrestler, a writer, and then, you know, in the 90s when I started listening to Art Bell, it was like, oh, man, I got to be a radio show host. All the things I wanted to do in my life, and my whole life was about, how can I take the three things that I want to do and, like, make a job that involves all three of them. And I figured out how to do it. So I'm about as happy as can be.
At what point were you able to kind of, you know, get rid of like normal life day job and be able to do this like full time? At what point was that in your life?
Well, I probably could have done that in about 2005 or 6, right after in fact, it was 2006 probably, after we had started the Figure 4 website and we were starting to get a lot of subscribers.
Yeah.
I have always, to this day, had a day job. And it actually stemmed from a conversation that I had with Bruce Mitchell of the Pro Wrestling Torch.
Oh,
many years
yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
I was talking to him about, I can't even remember what, but I brought up that I was thinking of quitting my job coaching gymnastics. And he's a school teacher.
Yeah.
He was like, don't quit your job because you'll go crazy. All you will do is you'll be surrounded by wrestling all the time, and you'll go crazy. And so I was like, what the heck? I enjoy coaching gymnastics anyway. And so to this day, I mean, it's kind of like a day job. We basically run a jiu-jitsu school, and the job is essentially I teach people how to do jiu-jitsu, and I grapple all day. But it is something that is not this, and it gets me out of the house every day. And I've learned that it's very important to have that balance, because otherwise I'm sitting here in the office twisting a bunch of knobs on a compressor or something like that, just going out of my mind trying to do this or that. It's good to have something where, okay, I got to stop because now I've got to go coach.
Yeah.
If I made $1 billion, I would still have that day job, just to keep sane.
No, that's very important. Chris and I do about 6 hours of radio on a Sunday, and, you know, trying to get out of the studio for a little while, it'll make you go pretty crazy. So I understand.
Yeah. Back to the book. I know the book does, you do a very great job of keeping the chronological order, the time of events, things like that. A lot of focus on ratings and the war. And I know you got the network. And Gary and I talked about this, was it last week or the week before? Maybe the week before.
Right.
About the Monday Night War documentary on the network. and the fact that it's jumping around to different points during the war. My question is, do you prefer that method, or would you rather see it more go chronologically?
Well, it's funny you should mention that. When we were going to write the first book, we didn't really have we didn't know what we were doing. It was just like, Artie had written Wrestle Crap, and it was doing well, and the publisher said, when are you going to do another book? When are you going to do another book? When are you going to do another book? So WCW dies, and he contacted me and said, do you have any interest in writing a book about WCW? And I was like, if you can make a deal, I'll do it. Little did I know how difficult it would be. So he made a deal, and we started thinking about what to do. And our original idea was something effective. It would be 10 chapters long, and it would be called the 10 reasons WCW died, or the death of WCW. 10 things. I don't remember what the title was, but every chapter was a different reason it died.
Wow.
And chapter 1 would be the finger poke of doom or whatever. So I can't remember the first chapter that I got, but as I started writing it, and it was just I was just writing a story. I wasn't, and Artie wrote his, and we kind of were going back and forth, and it was like, dude, let's just write a chronology of what happened, because each of these chapters will take, if you're going to talk about why the finger poke of doom was bad, you've got to write the backstory, and you've got to write where it ended up. And then you're going to write about Vince Russo coming in. And so somehow that has to tie into something you've already written. You may have some repetition. It was just it'll be easier to just Artie, you take 1988 through 1997. I'll do 1988 through the end, and we'll put them all together in a book and make it just chronological. And it ended up being so much better that way.
Yeah, I just find by watching the network and they have to keep going back and re-explaining from the beginning. Well, Vince McMahon was doing the WWE very successfully, and then Ted Turner came into this wrestling thing. It's the same intro on every episode, and it kind of drives me nuts. And maybe they're kind of taking a different approach of where maybe people won't watch every episode like a series, and maybe they just want to jump to one particular episode. So maybe I could understand that argument, but as a fan, obviously, I wish it would be a little more episodic.
Yeah, and one of the problems with that, and I'm going to tie this into a plug, kind of.
Sure.
Sometimes you will hear people that say, Brian, you weren't there. You weren't there. How can you write about WCW? And I have interviewed so many guys. I just got off the phone with Lance. We were doing a show, Lance Storm.
Right.
And it was like, hey, Lance, are you watching these first Nitros for the first time? He's like, yeah. I wasn't watching Nitro. I was in Japan. And then when I was on Nitro every week, I wasn't watching the show. I was busy working. Yeah. There were so many guys there that, being there was not an advantage to telling the story of the whole life and death of the company. They were there working. They were going over their stuff. They were having matches. They weren't watching either show. All they knew was what was going on with them. And so, and this kind of ties into Monday Night Wars.
Yeah.
What does WWE really know about what happened in the Monday Night Wars? They were busy doing Raw every Monday night.
Yep.
Maybe they had Nitro on in the background, but they were everybody who was there was so busy working that I don't think anybody who was there, including Vince McMahon, would be able to accurately write a story or do a documentary on the network about what really happened. So what we did, we were there on the outside watching both shows, covering both sides, and what we tried to do was talk to as many people as we could who were there to get the perspective to better write the book. So the criticism that we weren't there, if anything, it is a plus that we weren't there. We were better able to tell the story because we really saw all of the stuff on television. And we talked to everybody who was there to get their sides of the story.
Yeah, you weren't stuck in a bubble,
Exactly.
Yeah, it was an outside. It was
a different kind of bubble.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Right. It was an outsider's perspective, that high level overview that you could easily see both sides. So I definitely understand that.
Definitely.
Yeah, if you want to get what is Bischoff's opinion of what happened when he was there? Buy his book.
Yeah.
If you want to get Goldberg's thoughts about his whole run, buy Goldberg's book. But if you want like a look at what happened from the beginning to the end and why, well, this is the book.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, sometimes they're telling stories on their podcast, which actually transitioned to something I wanted to ask you about. You know, somebody that's doing podcasts and radio shows on a daily basis. What's your thoughts of the wrestlers kind of getting in the podcast game? As somebody who's been in that kind of industry for many years, what's your opinion on it? Do you enjoy it? You know, what's your take on it?
Well, I mean, it depends on the person. I mean, it's just like anything else. I mean, just because you're a wrestler doesn't mean you can or cannot do a good podcast.
Right.
You know, and there are going to be guys like Steve Austin. His podcast is like a big success because he's good at it, and he's got great stories, and he's actually become he's very successful, and he's very good.
Yeah.
I've never heard Goldberg's podcast. I'm not saying anything negative about it. I'm only telling you what I've heard from other people.
Yeah.
Goldberg isn't interested in really talking about wrestling.
Oh, okay.
He just is going to talk about whatever's on his mind, and like a lot of wrestling fans, I don't really hear anybody that's listening to Goldberg's podcast. So, and that's not to say it's a bad podcast or that people aren't listening. I'm just telling you that not everybody is going to have a podcast that wrestling fans are really going to want to listen to. Some of them are going to be good, some of them are going to be bad, but you know, I think that obviously like Jim Ross's is very successful,
Oh, yeah.
Austin's is very successful, Jericho's is very successful. But there are others that have started that I never hear anything about, like Roddy Piper's podcast. I never hear anybody talk about it. Maybe it's great, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I think some of them will last, and a lot of them are just going to kind of fall by the wayside.
Well, I'm not hearing a whole lot of buzz on Russo's podcast. What have you heard about that one?
I have heard people that are having a lot of fun at Russo's website because they love going up and reading his Raw fantasy booking because it's so outrageously preposterous.
That bad, huh?
I swear to God, I got people emailing me his booking ideas like every day after he goes over them, and they're like, Bryan, you've got to read these on the show. These are so amazing. Like every single time. It's crazy.
Oh, my God. I can only imagine, Bryan. I don't know if I want to go down that road with
It's a lot of swerves. I don't know if you're surprised.
Imagine that.
Yeah, big shock.
John Cena heel turn, then he's back face again. Oh, wait, no, he's heel again. I don't know. It's just all over the place.
Oh,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah, just ask Jim Cornette what he thinks of Vince Russo.
Oh, God. Man, you really want to go there, Chris? Jeez.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to go there.
All right, we got a couple of moments left here. You've been so generous with your time, and we do appreciate that, Bryan. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to throw in one or two just current events at you, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Great. One of the discussions that Chris and I had the other day was Roman Reigns coming back, along with Daniel Bryan coming back, and something I wanted to throw at you because you've been covering the industry for so long. I've kind of got this crazy idea in my head that what if Roman Reigns, what if Daniel Bryan come back around the same time, and let's just say that time is around the Royal Rumble time, and then, you know, I guess the idea that everybody's talking about is Roman Reigns is going to go to WrestleMania and face Brock Lesnar. Well, what if the fans decide that they really want to see Bryan back in that spot again? And Chris and I kind of had this interesting discussion about, which direction that the fans may steer if they're going to have a choice in the matter. So I want to throw that to you and kind of what you think, if you think that the fans are going to potentially try to push Bryan back into the top spot again, potentially unseating Roman Reigns. But then I'm going to throw I'll throw a swerve at you, Bryan, if you will. Dean Ambrose, he's catching a lot of fire lately. So that's kind of a loaded question, but I'd like to get your thoughts on that general topic.
Well, I've done so many interviews in the last couple of days, and you guys are not the first to bring this topic up.
Okay.
And here's what I'm going to say about this. First off, you don't have to have a situation where Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan are both in the Royal Rumble and fans pick a side. Because there's a built-in storyline of Daniel Bryan coming back and getting a championship match against Brock, and he's not in the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. And Roman Reigns ends up being in the Rumble, so nobody has to root against Roman Reigns. So that's one way to solve at least the Royal Rumble problem.
Yeah.
Now, WrestleMania is the biggest show of the year, but it's only one day. And, they want Roman Reigns to headline WrestleMania, but Daniel Bryan was not supposed to headline WrestleMania last year. The fans hijacked the shows, and it resulted in Daniel Bryan getting his day in the sun. He got 2 matches, he won them both, he won the title, everything was great. Mm-hmm. But if you watched like the television all through the fall and leading up to the WrestleMania, and even immediately after WrestleMania when he was the champion, it was very clear that he wasn't going to be the next John Cena.
Right.
They had already decided who it was going to be. This was like a reward for Daniel Bryan, a way to shut the fans up. And he was just going to be in the position. I mean, he's always going to be a top babyface. I'm sure he's going to be champion again. But he's probably never going to be the guy that they choose as the guy. That's Roman Reigns. So whether the fans get behind Roman Reigns or Daniel Bryan or Dean Ambrose, it really doesn't matter which guy they have headline WrestleMania. You know, if Dean Ambrose if the fans choose Dean Ambrose during that period, maybe they'll give Dean Ambrose the main event. But it's very likely that after they give him the main event, he will still be a big-time top babyface, but they're still going to put all of their real effort behind Roman Reigns because he's their guy. And unless something happens, some serious injury or some sort of scandal, I mean, barring something like that, they ain't going to give up on Roman Reigns. Somebody else may get a push here, they may get a push there, they may even get WrestleMania. But he's still going to be the guy, and historically, they're not going to quit until he is.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it plays out for sure. I mean, I'm definitely curious to see where they're going.
It's going to be a really interesting 3 months. Like January through WrestleMania is going to be, I predict it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Not even because of any particular booking, but just because the fans are going to be deciding to make some decisions. And they're going to let the world know because they did it last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested to watch. And I more importantly, I kind of just want to get the hell out of this month already. I mean, you look at the way Raw is now, it's just kind of, oh man, it's brutal to watch. I mean, I know you cover it, we cover it on our podcast here, and it is tough to watch, man. 3 hours, that's strike one.
Hideous.
Mid-card, bad booking, that's strike two. I mean, it's really awful to watch. I mean, like, for instance, they had, what was it, Layla and Rosa Mendez in a match, but they were trying to tell a story with Natalya and Tyson Kidd. I would have thought they would have put Natalya in a match and have Tyson Kidd ignore her, but no, they're just outside hanging out. I don't even know why Tyson Kidd would bother coming to the ring. You know, what purpose does he have? And just the rest of the mid-card, you know, Dolph Ziggler and Miz are out there with the Intercontinental title. They're not given really any time to talk about it. It's just, it's tough.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you know what? It's still better than WCW 2000.
There you go. and with that, Brian, I'll throw it to you. Give us the final hard sell, the final plug, and tell people where they can get it, and tell them about WrestlingObserver.com. You guys offer some great stuff over there.
Well, if you want a lot of audio, you need to go to WrestlingObserver.com. I do 2 radio shows every single day, except Sunday when I do 3. And we cover all of the news. We have interviews with all of the big names. We had Michael Bisping of UFC today. We've had Lance Storm today. I got another show tonight with Dave, so it's a 3-show day today. As a subscriber, you get all of the new shows, and every single show is in the archive. So if you don't like 2,000 hours in the WWE Network archive, you can get 6,000 hours in the Wrestling Observer archive. And if you sign up for a year, it is $9.99 a month. So check out WrestlingObserver.com. There's a lot of free samples up there as well. Plus, you get the Wrestling Observer newsletter and Figure 4 Weekly. It's awesome. And the book is Death of WCW. Amazon.com has hardcover, softcover, and Kindle versions available, and it will be in bookstores starting on October 14th. Everywhere that you can get a book, you can get Death of WCW, and I think that you will love it. So I think you should go get it.
Brian, thank you so much for your time, and we really do appreciate it. Hope you have a good night, and maybe another time you'll come on and maybe talk some more current events with us if you have time.
I'd love to come on anytime you want me on, and thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Brian. Take care.
Thanks, Brian.
All right.
Wow.
Bryan Alvarez, WrestlingObserver.com, F4WOnline.com. Check him out. I know what people are thinking. I just want to say this right now. Yeah, obviously, we run our website, Chris. We have our own membership. We have our own radio shows. But this is something you're never going to hear from another wrestling website, okay? And that is us telling you that what they offer is a good product. And if you ask me, you should absolutely check out what they have to offer. Just like we hope that you would check out what we have to offer for $2.99. So look, you won't hear another website promoting them and stuff like that, but we are comfortable in doing that because we feel that they offer a great service, and we wouldn't even have Bryan on if it wasn't. I mean, if they ran a terrible website, Chris, do you think we would have had him on?
Oh, absolutely not. But I mean, they're an established brand,
exactly,
established product. I mean, it's not like they're spring chickens or anything like that. I mean, Dave and Bryan have been doing this forever and very well respected. I respect him. I know you do as well.
Yeah.
So it was an honor to have Bryan on the show.
Certainly.
Damn, he's good.
No, he's very good, and this is the thing. I mean, look, they are the top dogs right now. We are the new guys on the block.
Yep.
And we're not trying to do this traditional, let's just push the guys out of the way and try to beat them down. We're trying to be different. And by being different is welcoming these other people onto a show. I mean, that's right. kind of my stance on it. So I just wanted to say that because I know it's going to be the obvious thing. People are going to say, "Hey,"
it is.
They're going to say, "Hey, I go to your website and you're telling me this, and why are you promoting them and all that kind of stuff?" Look, it doesn't need to be any of that. There are other sites that are garbage, that are destroying your computer with their ads and stuff like that. These guys are not it, though. These guys are the top dogs, and we have tremendous respect for them. So I just wanted to clear that up before anybody starts, banging down our door with all these emails saying, "Oh man, why are you guys promoting another website?" That's why, because these guys are the real deal. Bryan's got the book out. He's very knowledgeable. That's my thoughts on it. Chris, anything else you want to say on that?
He's very, very smart. You got the Dave Meltzers, the Wade Kellers, Bryan Alvarez. These guys are been doing it forever, and why would we not promote it? We're cross-promoting our brands, so hopefully it'll work out for everybody.
Exactly. So there's nothing wrong with it. I've already gotten a few comments. What are you doing? You're bringing on somebody else's product. You're letting them promote their product in your show. Yes, I am, because these people came before me. They've laid the framework. They've laid the groundwork from what we're doing right now. So you know what? Yeah, of course I'm going to let them in the door.
Right.
If they're willing to come down to our level, and we are very low, Chris, but no, I'm kidding.
Oh, we are at the very bottom. We're what they say is green. We're greener than grass.
Very good. While I got you here, is there anything about Raw that you saw? I mean, I guess we might as well cover some of that now if you like.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched almost all of it, save for the main event.
Yeah.
What surprised me, the one thing that surprised me, it wasn't the Dean Ambrose thing. It was Big Show and Rusev.
Yeah.
That really shocked me. I was entertained by that.
It's very interesting, wasn't it?
It is very weird because I didn't expect much out of it. I'm thinking, man, I kind of enjoyed that. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was odd. I did not expect that to be any good segment because I was expecting it to be a snoozer, but it was surprisingly not as bad as I originally thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, look, the show was not terrible. I took issue with a couple of things on the show. I mean, we can talk about some of that here, but the Susan G. Komen thing, WWE does such a great job at promoting Susan G. Komen. And look, I know people are going to say, hey, look at what they donate or look at what they don't donate. Put all that stuff aside. I understand that. I've read the stuff. Look, I'm not going to, we don't have to get into the opinions of how Susan G. Komen spends her money.
No, we're not conspiracy theorists or anything like that.
No, but what I want to say about it is it's like WWE does a hell of a job promoting that every year. So why would you need to fly Hulk Hogan in to advertise it just before a couple of segments before his and say Hulk Hogan has a special message for the universe? Like, if you're watching and maybe you're not fully paying attention, you might say, well, gee, Hulk Hogan might have some big announcement, or he might be calling out some wrestler to talk to him or something. He's not going to wrestle him, obviously, but he might be calling him out or whatever. So why would you fly him to Chicago? I mean, why if you wanted to do something with Susan G. Komen, you could just as easily fly a crew down to Tampa right on the beach and film him doing it right down there.
Right. I mean, they got the capabilities now. However you want to do it. If you want to have him send a video on his iPhone, that'd be just as cool.
Yeah, I think that
Hogan.
Yeah, I mean, I just think you don't want to waste the power of the draw that Hulk Hogan is. Because the last few times he's been on television, other than the thing with Brock Lesnar where Brock kind of got in his face, and that was kind of a good use of Hogan there, but every other time it's been, Hogan's making his big comeback, but he's just promoting the network. Or he's coming out in Chicago with a special announcement, but all it is the Susan G. Komen thing. I mean, I just think that there's a better utilization of Hogan, and it's not just to send him out shilling for something. You can pre-tape that from anywhere in the world and air it on your show. You don't need to fly him out for that, and you don't need to waste an in-ring opportunity because people are going to think, hey, there might be something bigger going on here, and there's really not. So you're letting people down, Chris.
Yeah, big shock. Hogan taking somebody's spot. Not the first time that's happened. I just spent all day reading a book about Hogan taking somebody's spot.
Yeah. Someone wanted to run by you. I was going to run it by Brian, but we're kind of running press on time. And one thing I've done in 7 years of doing radio, for those of you, I know we're going to get a lot of new listeners here, so I want to, I've been doing radio for 7 years. One of the things you don't do when you get a guest is you don't hold them overtime. I cannot tell you how many times I've listened to a podcast and you hear the interviewer asking them, "Hey, do you have a few more minutes?" And you hear them kind of tying them up, and you listen back to some. If you're a member of our website, which by the way, $2.99, WrestlingInformant.com/membership. If you listen back to some of the old interviews, you'll hear me doing those very things. I made those very mistakes years ago. But as I learned, you have to respect the time of the interviewee. They're taking time out of their day to speak with you for a predetermined number of time. Mm-hmm. And if they, if they kind of say, hey, if you kind of get the vibe that they're not really trying to get off the call, then you can keep it going a little bit. But one of the things you want to do, especially the first time you ever interview somebody, is you want to be strict with the time. So if they say 30 minutes, 30 minutes it is, and you don't go a minute longer if you can't help it. Now, he ran his plug. I think he ran about 31 minutes. That's on him. He was making his plug. But
right. He missed a radio guy, man. He was just on a roll, just boom, boom, boom.
Exactly.
God damn, this guy's good.
And
that's the thing. I was emailing back and forth with Brian, trying to coordinate this very time. And one of the things that I always try to make sure, and you even reminded me about this, how much time do we have?
Exactly.
How much time do we have? Because I want to get that out of the open. Now, it's not like when we did an hour with Alex Greenfield, because he's been on the show before.
Yeah, we have a different type of relationship with Alex where we can kind of take it a little longer, and he's either cool with it or like, shut up, guys.
Right. He's like, man, I got to go. But no, I mean, first time out, Bryan Alvarez, and of course, we're relaunching the wrestling stuff, so
yeah,
how fitting is it to have him as one of our first guests?
Exactly. Now, one of the things I was going to ask him, and this is kind of what leads to this long tangent we just got in, was the whole Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, John Cena dynamic, Chris, which is, I kind of put this in my Raw report as it seemed like because they don't have the title, first of all, it doesn't look like they know what they're doing for Hell in the Cell, and it looks like it's very possible Brock Lesnar may not be on the show. So it almost seems to me like they've kind of turned Seth Rollins into the title belt, and Cena and Ambrose are fighting over it.
It's kind of weird. It's like he's all of a sudden the target, and they've made absolutely no, other than Paul Heyman, they have made no mention of Brock Lesnar.
Am I crazy in thinking that Seth Rollins has kind of become the title now?
Or even the Money in the Bank briefcase contract, whatever.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
that has become the object of attention.
You've got Ambrose and Cena fighting over a wrestler. Fighting over who's going to get their hands on him first. So to me, it's
not a champion.
Right. It's very interesting. So
you got one you got Cena, your main event guy.
Yes.
You got Ambrose, who can be a main event guy, and Seth Rollins, who can also be a main event guy. They're all just going after each other. It's just so weird.
It is very, very weird. So I just, just a general thing here. I just don't know that they know what they're going to do for Hell in the Cell yet. I think they're kind of playing their options out, and they're trying to figure out which direction do we want to go in. And we could very well see like a triple threat, Rollins, Ambrose, Cena. I just don't know that you do that in a cell, though. Now, if it was strictly Ambrose and Rollins, you could make the argument for a cell because the feud's been going on long enough to where it would make sense. And this is kind of that problem in the era of the pay-per-views being named after big matches, because then you kind of get, because WWE, they don't really plan ahead very well, so you kind of get stuck in this thing of, well, October's coming up, so we gotta put this match on a little bit before it's time, because it's like at SummerSlam, a lot of times you get stuff just starting or for the most part culminating. So then they're starting up new stuff in September. So then you've only got 1 month after that where they're already going to the Hell in the Cell, and it's like, wow, that's a little early for a feud. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. And you alluded to it earlier about just the way they've been writing the storyline. Ambrose and Rollins would have been absolutely perfect inside Hell in a Cell.
Oh, yeah,
because there's
definitely
no escape. They can't run. They're locked in, and they can just beat the crap out of each other for as long as they need to be. That could even be a main event.
Oh, sure could.
You don't need Lesnar there.
Yeah.
Bring him back at Survivor Series.
I'm all for that. I don't mind it. I know a lot of people online, they complain. They say, we need a champion there every week. You don't.
No.
We've made this argument already, so we don't need to go into it again, but it's just that even on a pay-per-view, if he misses 1 month, so what? If your storylines are compelling enough, you can get away without him being there. And more importantly, if you had your mid-card a little stepped up a little bit higher, you could most certainly do a lot more, where you could have the Intercontinental title per se be at the top of your list. If this was 20 years ago, you could.
Right, like a co-main event.
Exactly. But they're not doing that. Hey, what did you think about Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury kind of being like the new Briscoe and Patterson?
That was interesting. I was kind of thinking that too. I was like, man, they're the new Stooges.
Yeah, exactly. And
then you got Jamie Noble with the mustard on, and Stephanie's point. I was like, did you eat a hot dog or something?
Hey,
that was great.
For the record, the less I see Kane on my screen, give me more of these guys.
Yeah.
I know he doesn't look as big and menacing as Kane, but I've said it on the show so many times before, but I'll say it for the new listeners. I'm just not big on Kane. It's just not my kind of thing. I know he's been there for a long time. I have a lot of respect for what he's done, but all I'm saying is it's just this thing of looking at somebody who's been there for over 15 years. It's like, all right, we need some new blood here. Not that Mercury and Noble are new blood, but I'm just saying in that role, in the authority role, give Kane a month off or something. Let this guy rest, and let's see more of these guys.
Right, because what it's doing, like we've seen before in past recent history, it's getting stale.
Yeah.
Getting very stale. And I was always entertained by Jamie Noble when he was on SmackDown. Being the trailer park guy and having Nydia there.
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of entertained. When he was a Cruiserweight champion and really emphasizing all of that. But yeah, he can be entertaining in front of a crowd still.
Oh, most certainly. I liked Ambrose's line about how he said, "Oh no, the cruiserweights have found me." They sent the cruiserweights after me. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. And then the cameraman actually found Ambrose first. It was not Mercury and Noble who found him. The cameraman found him first. Just a one cameraman way in the back, just him walking with his duffel bag, just walking around, and see him looking around. Nobody's really looking for him. So he's thinking, okay, what's going on? But then they really made it, kind of tied it all together. It's like Ambrose out in the ring saying, yeah, I walked by the agents. They were eating hot dogs by the concession stand. I waved at them, but they didn't see me. That explains the mustard spot.
Yeah.
What what'd you think of the callback, the homage to the Nickelodeon slime? What'd you think about that?
That was, I didn't even put two and two together. I wasn't even thinking about the Nickelodeon slime, but
really,
even though I grew up in that generation,
we both did.
I did not even think about that. I just saw the priceless look on Dean Ambrose's face.
Oh boy. Damn it, Chris! I thought you were gonna engage me in a Nickelodeon conversation. Although that would drive the wrestling fans absolutely insane. So we do that.
We can't talk. We can't talk about. You can't do that on television. We can't talk about that. With the
no, we can't. We cannot do that. But
are we really dating ourselves now, or what?
I think we are. But you know what though? I didn't hate this as much as some did. Like I thought that you could kind of see where it was kind of maybe that Vince McMahon slap the knee and gorilla type humor. But at the same time, it wasn't overly cheap. It wasn't like Hornswoggle in the goddamn alligator suit later on in the show. Yeah, so it wasn't that. God. But it was...
No.
I thought it was all right. I really... And the look on Ambrose's face afterwards was, wow, priceless.
Yeah, I had to go back and pause the TV because they just focused on it for so long.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man, that's the face right there. Just him just standing there and then all of a sudden just smiling. That was great.
Yeah.
But, I definitely got a chuckle out of it.
One of the other things I wanted to ask you about is, does Brie Bella have the worst entrance music of everybody?
Let's see. Yeah.
Because it's like, mode.
Oh, God.
You know,
Oh,
and then like
God.
it goes to like this awful like techno electronica or whatever the hell it is.
It's horrible.
Just bad. I really don't enjoy it. And every time I have to hear it, and to think that she came out and they went to commercial, and when they came back, it was still playing. Like those poor Chicago fans, man. That's rough.
Oh, God, that's another thing that I got a problem with is the Chicago fans.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this.
I know. CM Punk.
Still chanting and still during AJ's damn matches.
AJ's matches, they did it in the opening segment, but not, you know what? They weren't as bad as they normally are.
Yeah, but still, I'm hoping that at some point they'll just get over it.
Well, I think you're going to be, I wouldn't hold your breath.
Is that like me wishing more for the Intercontinental title?
Yes.
Am I is it more of a pipe dream? Okay.
Kind of crap in one hand and see which one fills up first. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
We have the WWE Network in the UK being announced that they're going to announce the new date on November 1st. Originally, it was supposed to be October 1 in the UK. You know what? I mentioned this on my. I posted a little bit of analysis when we posted that article on our website, and I said that it seems to me like they looked at what happened in Canada and they said, "Wow," because it did pretty well from everything we've heard. Canada launch went pretty well. It didn't go well for the consumers because they've got this TV channel and they've got the limited on demand. It's kind of like when you have cable, like for instance HBO. So like if you have HBO and then you have HBO Go, look at your cable's HBO on demand and look at HBO Go on demand. It's two very different things in that you can go on HBO Go on demand and see every season, every show, like Entourage comes to mind, or The Wire, or some Sopranos. You can watch every single season, every single episode. Whereas if you go on your cable's VOD and you go on HBO, it's very, very limited. I would say it's maybe 30% of what HBO Go is. So that's kind of what people in Canada are dealing with. First of all, they're paying $2 more in Canada. Second of all, it's on this cable channel with VOD. I don't even know that they have internet access. Like, I don't think they can access the app. I don't think they can, Chris.
I don't think so. And it's limited to only certain providers. And I know, I've seen people posted on Twitter that when it launched, it was just poorly launched. Everything was mislabeled. It was missing a lot. It was a very limited release. It just wasn't a lot disclosed.
By the way, if we have anybody listening in Canada, I know we do, but I obviously I see the numbers. But if somebody's listening to us in Canada and can explain better to us, you can do it via email privately if you want. We don't have to give your name, but just send me an email, Gary at WrestlingInformant.com. I'm just curious, what's that experience like for you now? Has it gotten any better? Because we've obviously heard the horror stories at the first week or so of the launch. Now, with that being said, going back to now the UK, I think they're looking at what happened in Canada and they're saying, maybe we ought to strike a deal with, I'm just throwing this out. I'm not saying I have no knowledge on this, but maybe like Sky TV or something like that, like a big, powerful force in the UK as far as cable distribution. And they're saying, maybe we ought to think about this channel thing, I mean, and that could be interesting. It could be more expensive because of that. And, they got to be careful because their first market is obviously North America. And we saw how that went. So with the launch in the UK, which is their number 2 market, how's that going to go? I'm very interested to see how that goes.
That is interesting to see how that's going to play out, especially where you're not relying solely on an app or internet or anything like that. And I think they're already broadcasting their pay-per-views on Sky Sports, I believe. Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying maybe they want to partner up with like Sky or somebody like that. I don't know who is the other major player in the UK, but
I have no idea.
It's possible. I mean, I would not rule it out for a second, and I'd be very interested to see how that plays out if they do take that turn. Could be very interesting. Now, just one or two other things here, Chris, and then we'll wrap it up for the listeners. The flag, Big Show rips down Rusev's flag. They had to go out and apologize for it. To me, I know it's going to offend some people. To me, it personally, because I'm not Russian, so maybe I'm not easily offended like they may be. So I don't want to disrespect somebody that may be in Russia who thought it was a bad move or in bad taste. But Chris, in your mind, did you see anything there that was, overly offensive to where they would have had to issue an apology?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
I don't see anything being that offensive to where they had to issue an apology.
Okay.
I just don't.
Well, it's not like Shawn Michaels where he was wiping his ass with it or picking his nose or something.
He had the Canadian flag up his nose and walking around like, oh, what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
With that whole feud with Bret Hart back in the 90s. But, I mean, he just kind of just ripped it down, and it was made to rip down. I mean, it's like it was just buttoned. I could tell. I could see it up at the top where it was all kind of buttoned, and it's just ready to be torn down. Yeah. So it's like they had planned on doing it. It looked like they had planned on doing it anyway, so I really don't see why you have to apologize for something you knew you were going to do.
Well, I mean, they sent Lana out there, and I think they apologized for her, didn't they, at one point? She said something about linking, what the hell was it now? It was some current event topic, and she was linking the U.S. or Russia. I don't remember right now, but they had to...
it was the
SummerSlam, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. What is it, the airline?
Oh, yeah, I think so, yeah.
The airplane that was shot down.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, it was that, and she was mocking that, and they had issued kind of stupid apology, but I don't see why this warranted an apology.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't either.
We mentioned this with Brian, and I get your thoughts on it as well. The Layla Rosa Mendez thing, the clip was clearly, and look, I get it. Total Divas is one of your intellectual properties. You want to promote it. You want to try to have it coexist in your Raw world. And I don't think that the story is being told so great here, because before the match, I've got a clip here of Natalya and Tyson Kidd, or as they call him on the show, TJ, his real name.
Yeah.
I've got Natalya and TJ, we'll call it, on the show having a disagreement. And that's fine. Look, if you want to, logically you would think, okay, she's going to have a match. Maybe he's going to be in her corner, but then he's going to do the thing like he does in, NXT before, I think it was, where he was out there and he was kind of ignoring her, or,
right.
Something like that. And I know you cover a lot of NXT for our members, so you would probably remember something like that. So you would think in your mind, okay, yeah, Natalya's going to have a match, and then, that's what we're going to get. Instead, we get Layla and Rosa, which was not really that good of a match at all.
No.
And we've got Natalya out there to root her girl Rosa on. They had this awkward kiss on Total Divas this week, by the way. Not that you wanted to hear our Total Divas recap, but yeah, Rosa tried to kiss Natalya. She's trying to make her feel more pretty or something like that. But anyway, so they've got Rosa and Layla in a match. It's not a very good match, and I'm just like, okay. So they have Natalya out there rooting her on. They got Tyson Kidd, TJ. I get confused on what to call him. Call him Tyson Kidd. The hell with it.
Yeah.
And so he's out there with he's got his Beats on. He's got his iPhone plugged in. Yes, I'm a tech guy. I pick out all these things meticulously. And so he's ignoring the match, but it doesn't make any sense. Why the hell would he come out to watch Layla and Rosa Mendez? Why wouldn't he be out there to watch his girl who's not even in a match? It doesn't make any sense to me, Chris.
Yeah, I don't get it either. At least they could do is leave that on NXT, because they do that a lot more on NXT, especially with Natty and her matches, Tyson and his matches on NXT. Well, and of course you get the Natty's husband dance on NXT, which is kind of
they brought up. They brought that up. But you know what?
It's funnier on NXT.
I'll slightly disagree. In the sense that I would love to see Tyson Kidd back on TV. I know on the internet he's not very popular because he was going up against guys like Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville and all these guys, but he's a very talented guy. We talked about this.
He is.
We talked about this at length on our members audio, which you can find at WrestlingInformant.com/membership. And we did a whole NXT TakeOver recap talking about how talented this guy is. So look, I'm all for him being on Raw, but all I'm saying is it's real simple. Hey, Natty's got a match. Her husband's coming down to the ring with her, and now he's going to ignore her. Makes perfect sense. It ties right into the TV show. But instead, the two of them are out there, and I guess they wanted to get Rosa some TV time, but here's the part where you get Rosa coming out to be with Natty while Natty has a match. It just makes more sense. And I don't know why I'm speaking so passionately about Layla versus Rosa Mendez and Natalya and Tyson Kidd, for Christ's sake, but it's just I just thought that was just crazy to me why they would do that. It just seemed like the so obvious thing to do was to put Natty in the match. You switch Natty with Rosa, and it makes perfect sense.
Right, because then she could get all distracted by Tyson not paying attention, playing with his phone, got his beats on, and turning his back, and you would think. Right. You would think.
All right, 2 more very, very quick things, I promise.
Yeah.
Luke Harper.
No bunny. Bunny.
No. This will be a bunnyless episode.
Good, because you turn into Michael Cole and Bunny, I'm gonna get all pissed off on you.
What do you think is going on with Luke Harper here? They have this vignette with Bray and Luke Harper, the same vignette, and Bray's talking about setting Luke Harper free. What do you think about this? Do you think they're going to eventually have them feud? Do you think it's just more or less they're trying to tell a story about Luke going on his own, but not necessarily feuding with Bray? Where do you think this is going?
I think it caught me by surprise at first because I didn't know what the heck was going on. But I think it could be more of a push for a singles run, but not necessarily breaking up the Wyatt family.
Okay, because I think some people are thinking it's that. They're like, "Oh my God, they're breaking up the Wyatt family. What's going on?"
I'm sure it'll happen sometime, maybe a long time from now. I don't know, but I don't think that's what this is.
Yeah,
I think maybe it's a way to enhance Luke Harper's character more because I enjoy Luke Harper more than I do Eric Rowan, to be honest with you. And Luke Harper's work in the ring is a lot better. I know it's going to take time because they're still very green, but I think that's where they're going with this. It's more of a push.
And finally, and probably least important on the show, Triple H essentially burying the WWE film division. I know, I always make fun of people talk about Triple H is burying this, he's burying that, but it really did seem like he really buried the movie division by calling Miz's career straight to DVD. Do you think this was in any way destructive towards the movies that they put some thought into?
I don't think so. And then even later on, Miz made a jab at Triple H and the Chaperone.
Ooh, did he?
Yeah, when he was out at ringside during Damian Mizdow's match, I don't remember who brought it up. It was Michael Cole, I think, brought it up, and then he's like, "Yeah, he called him Mr. Chaperone or something like that." So he made a little subtle jab at Triple H's straight to DVD movie as well.
Isn't that sweet? Well.
Yep.
We are right around the hour mark, and what we like to do with this podcast is we try to keep it under an hour to make it as accessible to as many people as possible. So with that in mind, we're going to close out the show and just remind you once again, please check out Bryan Alvarez's Death of WCW book if you haven't already, although I get the general idea, Chris, the kind of people that listen to this show are probably the kind of people that are going to buy that book or probably already have, but we certainly would recommend that if you have not, go to Wrestling Observer, give them the clicks there. Go to WrestlingInformant.com, click through his link, and check it out. I'm just going to say, we also have an Amazon link, which will be up on the page where you can see this post. And, we would certainly like it if you would click our link. Give Bryan the sale on his book, but give us the link. Okay.
Right, come on. Yeah, it's a win-win. And I almost feel bad that I got my digital copy before Lance Storm.
Now, that's messed up, man. I mean,
how did I get it? Because I know... Because they said, give me your list October 1st. I'm thinking, man, it's going to show up. I was up at 5 a.m. because that's when I get up in the morning.
Yeah.
And at 5:30, I'm walking out the door. I fire up it's on my Galaxy. It's just the Kindle app. And as soon as it's synchronized, boom, book showed up.
Wow.
Just instant. I'm like, oh my God. And then he said Lance Storm hadn't got his. I was like, oh my God. How is that possible?
I don't know. Well, no matter where you get the damn book from, just buy it. It's good. Chris has already read it. I'm going to get my copy very soon. I think I want to go for the hard copy personally, but
right. I'm actually about halfway through. I'm in. It looks like 1998 because he was talking about how it was going chronologically. So yeah, it's talking about how WCW is pretty much tanking at this point.
Yeah.
And it's not getting any better, and it's the same old stuff. So we all were there. We all were there. We were probably in the, not to say same position as Bryan was, but we were outsiders watching it as it unfolded.
Yes, definitely. But now we're kind of like in his role now where we're watching the shows in real time and seeing what it's all about. All right, look, the final plug for us, WrestlingInformant.com/membership, $2.99. The price is going up in less than 2 weeks, so you better get on it now, because if you do get on it now, the $2.99 price will last forever for you as long as you stay an active member. If you cancel and you try to re-sign up, your price goes up. So that is the incentive to get you to sign up at the lower price. See, we're breaking the fourth wall again. That's our strategy, man. You sign up sign up at $2.99. You're going to get daily audio, just like this show that you're hearing right now. But in addition to that, you're going to get Chris's Ring of Honor and NXT coverage. You're going to get my Raw coverage and other, just general news and reviews and things like that. And then also, you get an access to our vault of shoot interviews. You talk about Bryan had in his vault, and I know his vault is a lot bigger than ours, but we do have several interviews dating back to 2007 with several wrestlers. Bob Hardcore Holly, who's done a couple of great interviews with us. John Heidenreich, some of the most talked about at the time that they came out, some of the most talked about news-making interviews. John Heidenreich breaking the doors off of some incredible information back in 2007 following the Chris Benoit murder, suicide. Also, we've got Jason Sensation back in that time and talking about his own personal issues within WWE. As far as some more current interviews, more recently, Pete Gass, Ken Shamrock, Buff Bagwell. I mean, just a whole slew of people, and I'm telling you, they've got some of the most interesting stories to tell you. You don't want to miss it. So, Chris, tell them again, what is that address and what is the price?
That is WrestlingInformant.com/membership, and that is $2.99 a month, as long as you sign up right now.
There you go. Sign up right now because it's going to go up to $4.99 in less than 2 weeks. So you got some time left. You can sign up now, lock in that price for good, and that's what I'm saying. You get it in now, and you're going to get locked into that price forever. We will never raise it as long as you remain an active member. So with that, Chris, thank you so much to Bryan Alvarez, WrestlingObserver.com, F4WOnline.com. Check out their site, their membership, and Bryan's book. It's all great content, I promise you that. As far as Chris and I are concerned, for members, we'll be talking to you tomorrow. But if you're not a member, we'll see you again next Wednesday. This is our new date, and you will find the shows released every Wednesday evening. So be sure to tune in, because Chris and I, we got some interesting things planned for you. Chris, where can they find you on Twitter?
At Chris McManamy.
All right, I'm at Gary Cantrell. The website's Twitter at PW Informant. And thanks to all the new listeners. We hope that you guys will stick around. Subscribe, WrestlingInformant.com/subscribe if you've got anything but an iDevice. If you've got iPhone, iPad, iPod, iTunes, go to WrestlingInformant.com/iTunes. Check it out. We would appreciate you guys following us along on this journey as we become this wrestling website that is slowly starting to build, and hopefully one day we can reach come somewhere close to the level of the Wrestling Observer. But we do have a lot of respect for those guys, and I just want to make sure that we get that clear. It's not a war. It's not us versus them. Bryan's a nice guy. And this is, we have wars against the more tackier websites that copy Bryan's news and Dave Meltzer's news and put it on their website and then put a bunch of tic-tac ads all over the place, and you click this and an ad pops up and all that. We don't have any of that on our website. We are 100% ad-free for everyone. So,
we'll go after the hacks, just not these guys.
Yes, and there it was, Chris. I mentioned we were going to be under an hour. Now we're at an hour 4. So I'm going to
keep going. We just keep going.
I know. We need to stop. We need to stop right now. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week. Members, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for listening.